Namaste, hi, how are you? Okay, so I'm sure you'll agree with this is life is all about perceptions, correct? So many people, so many billion people on this planet, each of them has a different perception and a perspective of a situation. And each one responds according to his perception to that particular situation. A very common story which everybody has heard that there were about 3 men or 4 men with their eyes folded, with the blindfold, they are kept near an elephant, and each person touching the elephant perceived the elephant very differently. Nobody could gauge that whole elephant. Somebody touched the trunk and said something else, somebody touched the leg of the elephant and said something else. So each one, according to your own conditioning, you perceive things from that point of view. So, imagine a particular situation, good, bad, or otherwise. Okay, there are 10 people watching that particular situation. So, if it is a bad situation, if there's a fight, or if there is anger, or if there's some person arguing and giving cuss words to somebody using bad language or whatever, and there are a couple of people watching that entire drama. Actually, what is happening there is not so big, but the perception of it is much bigger than the actual incident. Even when there is a fight starts with what? Have you noticed? With a very small something really stupid and silly. Over which a big fight starts, gets into an argument, gets into fist fighting, everything else happens. Because both the people have perceived that particular sentence in a very different way, a particular situation in a very different way. So what actually is very small, but what we perceive in our head is completely different. And we react or respond from the perception of our mental whatever situation or conditioning is. So every person will react or respond to a situation in a very different way. Some people will say it's okay, fine, I mean these things happen. Some people say no, what nonsense, we have to intervene, what is all this, that. Each person according to his conditioning perceives the situation differently. So actually when you zoom out and see what exactly is happening, that particular incident is very small and really negligible, does not need so much of intervention from so many people. It can be settled with those 2 or 3 people who are having an issue. But how is it perceived? It's perceived in such a different way, whereby this whole small incident blows out to be such a big issue. This is exactly how fights take place. This is exactly how distance is created between 2 people. Now, this person perceives it differently, this person perceives it differently. And that discord and the distance just keeps on increasing. Because every day, every moment, that same incident is going on in your mind, and you visualize what would have happened, what should have happened, what will happen, all kinds of things. And you make that entire incident so huge and blow it so out of proportions just because of your perception. So, as I said, life is all about perceptions. We have to understand if this is my perception, the other person also has his own perception. So that's exactly what, when my Master Dada Shiji says that the transformation is required, is we have to zoom out and see how big is that incident. Is that incident really so big as we make out to be according to our perceptions? That is transformation. So if you are arguing with somebody, for that time or that moment, if we have that much of control over our temper or our tongue, we can control ourselves and zoom out and go probably to the other person's perception and see where he is coming from or she is coming from. You will realize that person who's talking all this has something at the back of his mind and is responding from there. So we make a judgment and we argue and say, this is not the way to behave. How can you behave like this? No matter whatever has happened to you, this is not the way to behave. No, we don't know. We don't know where and from where that person is coming and reacting from. So everybody's perceptions are different. Life is all about so many various perceptions. So somebody says something to you, immediately do not react nor respond, and see what is the perception of that person to have said like this. Invariably you will realize that what that person said was because of XYZ reasons, and the entire anger or whatever agitation which was going on in your head will completely cool down. None of us are somehow trained to do this. None of us are somehow told, not by our parents, not by our schools, colleges, institutions, to hold on. Don't react and respond so immediately. Hold. We can't hold our emotions. If somebody says 1 to you, you will say 2, you will say 4. It is just naturally that it just comes out. That's how we are conditioned. Somebody says something, thak karke we immediately react. But we will never, none of us have that patience. पहले सामने वाले की बात सुनते हैं. If somebody is late, simple example. If somebody is late, okay, your immediate reaction is, oh, what is this nonsense? We never have the patience to listen to what happened, why is the person late. Very simple reason. If you know why is the person late, you will know probably there was some real big emergency which was happening that side. But you have reacted in such a way, you've told that person, just get out of this class, move out, I'm not going to entertain you anymore. And you've created that rift. When a person is angry, let that person be. Do not counter that person, ask questions, argue, no. If 2 people are fighting, 1 person must keep quiet. When the person has cooled off, then you tell. That makes more sense. Another thing which I have noticed, or I'm sure you must have noticed also, when 2 people are arguing and fighting, they're generally shouting at each other. You could be at this distance, but you're shouting and screaming as if the person can't hear at this distance. And look at lovers. You must have seen these lovers sitting on chapati parapets and all that. They can whisper and the other person knows what they're talking about. They don't have to talk, they can whisper. With the movement of their eyes, they know what your girlfriend or wife or whoever wants when there is love. You don't need to even talk when there is love. But when there is hatred or fight, people are shouting. You know why that happens? When there is a fight, your hearts go away from each other. There's no love. The heart goes away from each other. You don't feel the love. And when there are lovers or people who are in love, be a husband, wife, nice, good relationships, the love is there, the hearts are closer. So they don't need to even speak. The expressions and the movement of their eyes tell what this person wants. You don't have to speak also. It's very strange, but isn't that true? Notice people who are shouting and screaming and who are angry. They're shouting at the top of their voice and both of them are shouting. Nobody's listening to anybody. It's a big tamasha. People all around are listening. But those 2 people can't hear each other because both of them are shouting and screaming. So this is exactly what happens. So as I said, life is all about perceptions. Check on your perceptions and see how you deal with all these kind of things when such things happen. So remember, before you respond or react, hold. Check what's happening. Listen to the other side of the story. Then react. See the perception of the other person. Don't only view your perceptions. Okay? Thank you very much. Namaste.